It's the show that magicians around the globe don't want you to see. The masked magician is back, out of hiding, daring to expose the world's most highly guarded secrets. You'll find out how they perform amazing appearances, death-defying escapes, baffling levitations, astounding vanishes, mind-blowing sleight of hand, and impossible illusions. No magician is too famous. No trick too big. No secret too sacred. The magician's code will be broken. On Magic's biggest secrets finally revealed, featuring the WWE Divas. Tonight, the sexy WWE divas make a dramatic appearance when the magician transforms their pictures into the incredible First Ladies of Wrestling. Plus, the masked magician pulls back the curtain and exposes the secrets too, walking through a giant wall of steel, being sliced in half by a deadly buzzsaw, turning a Bentley into a Lamborghini, making a soda can float through the air, vanishing a simple toothpick and an entire string quartet, and making a gorgeous woman disappear right before your very eyes. All that and more right now on Magic's biggest secrets finally revealed.
To start things off tonight, the magician is going to face the razor-sharp surgical steel teeth of this industrial buzzsaw. As he is soon to find out, the saw blade is real and the teeth are incredibly sharp. Ouch. That's going to leave a mark. The magician sets the blade in motion and commands it to rise to the top of the tower. Remember the old saying, what goes up must come down? So for safety's sake, the blade stops before the girls walk underneath. The assistants have wheeled a large coffin-like box beneath the blade. Let's hope this doesn't become the magician's final resting place. The lid is raised and he steps inside, taking a moment to get himself comfortable in this very uncomfortable situation. This is probably a good time to remind you not to attempt this. The magician may be giving away the secrets, but he's a trained professional. The front of the box lowered, we can see that he's held in place by a wide steel band and handcuffs. He's not going anywhere. From the time the blade begins its descent, our magician has only 30 seconds to escape. First, he's got to contend with the handcuffs. Shouldn't be too tricky. Only 20 seconds left. This isn't going well. The assistants are under strict orders not to stop the blade. But will they obey? The blade is now just inches away. Will he escape in time? Nope. Guess not. Well, this is a first, and we've still got an hour's worth of tricks to expose. Too bad he didn't save this trick for his big finish. Could have killed two birds with one stone, or one giant blade. Looks like the masked man has finally met his end. But I think we should see some proof that he's really cut in half. On cue, the girls separate the box. So long, magician. It was nice knowing you. The danger in this illusion is about as authentic as it gets, complete with a very real, very sharp industrial saw. And the handcuffs? Well, they're real too. You can see that there is no way to escape this death trap, not within 30 seconds. And that's really the magician strapped to the table. So is the magician really being sliced in half by the razor-sharp teeth of the giant saw? No. He still has more secrets to expose. Starting with this one. The first secret, of course, is in the box the girls wheel onto the stage. When we see him get into the box and supposedly lie down, he's actually slipping his legs down into a secret compartment. The table legs are hollow and large enough to fit a person, or half of one. As you can see from the back, there is plenty of room to slide his legs inside the compartment with the help of some handy steps, like the rungs of a ladder. His upper body remains visible on the table. So what about the other side? We saw his whole body on the table. The legs look real. The secret here is that a body double has climbed into the box before the illusion began. His legs stay on the table, while the rest of his body hangs upside down in another secret compartment. The double's legs are the ones we see secured by the stalks. The magician is in the front half, the double is in the back, and that steel band will cover the gap. With the body double in place before the illusion begins, the audience has no idea they're about to be duped. But how did two men make the illusion of one body so convincing? When the steel bands are lifted away, we can see the space between them. When the bands are in place, they cover the gap. The audience has no idea they aren't looking at the magician. But that is a real saw blade, and it is the magician's shirt being torn from his body. There is real danger here. So to ensure the magician's safety, there is a gap between the two halves of the table, allowing room for the saw as it is lowered. Wooden partitions on each side protect the men from harm. But when the two sides of the table are pulled apart, it looks as though the magician has been sliced in two. Now, you know how it's done. Here's a simple trick with an ordinary wooden toothpick that will make you the life of the party. The magician displays the toothpick to show that it hasn't been tampered with. He holds it in plain view and makes a few magical waves with his hand. Poof! The wooden pick is gone, vanished without so much as a hint of sawdust left. But where did it go? So how did the magician make the toothpick vanish? The secret is simple and very deceptive. It all comes down to this tiny square of tape. The tape and the toothpick are all you'll need to pull this off and amaze your friends. The magician places the toothpick on the piece of tape and slightly bends the tape around it, but not all the way. The tape attaches to the back of his thumb. Without the glove, it would go right on the thumbnail. Notice that the toothpick points backward when his thumb is extended. This is the key to the trick. The magician carefully removes the pick, leaving the tape on his thumb. The slight bend in the tape forms a sticky pocket for the toothpick. To make it vanish, all he does is open his hands, and the toothpick is hidden from view, stuck to the back side of his thumb. Here we see the magician place the toothpick into the pocket in the tape. This action is normally concealed by the fingers of his right hand. Now, he'll slowly open his hand so you can see the movement of the pick. There it is, stuck along the backside of his thumb. From the front, you can't see a thing. Vanishing a toothpick. It's a trick you can nail every time.
Up next, the secret to the classic cut and restored rope. And find out where a beautiful girl really goes when she disappears without a trace. And later, a Bentley turns into a Lamborghini. And the WWE Divas make a surprise appearance. Plus, the magician shows you how to walk through a great wall of steel. When magic's biggest secrets finally revealed returns.
Here the magician has one of magic's most popular impromptu tricks. All he needs to baffle his audience this time is a length of rope, which he proves to be strong and unprepared, and some scissors. They'll make their appearance in a minute. He gathers the rope to find the exact center, then makes a loop and holds it in his hand. Time for the scissors. Told you they were part of this trick. Using the scissors, the magician cuts through the center of the rope. Eventually. There's no camera trick involved. That's definitely a cut piece of rope. He twists the cut ends, gives them a wave, and magically the rope is back in one piece. The tricky masked man has done it again. So how did the magician cut the rope in two right before our eyes, and then restore it to one solid piece? The simple answer is, he didn't really cut the rope at all. Here are the secrets. Concealed in the magician's hand at the start of the trick is a small piece of identical rope gathered into a loop. This is the rope that gets cut by the scissors. The magician is careful never to let this piece of rope be seen by the audience. When he places the long rope in his hand, he pulls the short loop up and above his fingertips. From this angle, you can see him pull his sleight of hand. The long rope is held by his thumb, while the short loop is visible above the top of his hand. He takes the scissors and cuts straight through the short loop. When he separates the pieces, it appears the long rope has been sliced in two. Pretty sneaky if you ask me. All that's left to do is twist the short cut pieces out of the way and tuck them into his fist. He carefully conceals them as he slides the long rope through, and no one bothers to look in his closed fist. And that's how he creates the illusion of restoring a rope by magic. And now, the magician will perform another classic illusion, one of the most famous in all of magic. He displays an ornate chair that's perched atop a platform. He walks around the chair to make sure we get a good look at it. The magician then calls in one of his beautiful assistants so we can get a good look at her. This guy's got it made. Ever the gentleman, he helps her step up onto the platform where she takes her position in the chair, just like a beauty queen on her throne. Two more assistants enter with a large sheet. I think we've seen enough of the magician to know that something magical happens when he gets his girls under the sheets. The assistants raise the sheet for a moment. There's the girl still in the chair. He can't resist seeing her one last time. I don't blame him. The sheet goes back up, and the assistants cover the girl. There she is, still in the chair. A magical wave, some lightning, and she's gone. Vanished in an instant, leaving behind the lone masked man and his fancy chair. Maybe he should sit down and rethink this trick. So how does our masked magician make his lovely lady disappear? Don't worry, she doesn't go far. Here are the secrets. As always, the magic moments happen beneath the sheets. And a lot of things are going on simultaneously. First, there's a hidden breakaway seat built into the bottom of the chair. When the curtain is raised for the first time, the girl in the chair releases the seat, allowing her to slide her lovely legs into a trap door hidden in the platform. From above, we see how she releases the seat and steps into the trap. When the assistants lower the sheet, it appears as though the girl is still sitting in the chair. The next time the curtain is raised, it covers the chair completely. But that's not the girl. Notice the black section in the center of the chair? It conceals the next secret. This black headpiece. When flipped in this position, it takes the place of the girl's head. As the assistants lift the sheet, the magician secretly flips up the false head as the girl slips down into the platform and disappears from view. Here it is from above. The head form drops into place and is covered by the sheet. To the audience, it looks like the girl is still seated in the chair. She seems to vanish, but where did she go? The staircase looks too thin for the girl to fit inside, but upon closer inspection, we see the staircase is actually thicker than it first appears. The girl disappears into the platform, and from the back, we can see that it is actually hollow, allowing plenty of room for the girl to hide. With her legs in one side, the girl is able to arch her back and squeeze into the other half. She reaches up and raises the seat bottom back into position. And now our assistant is completely concealed within the platform. When the magician pulls back the sheet, the motion causes the false head piece to drop back behind the center of the chair where it started, and the girl is gone, leaving the magician plenty of time to think about what he's done.
Next, the secrets of turning one luxury car into another with the help of two WWE divas. And making an ordinary dime penetrate a solid sheet of rubber. And coming up, a great wall of steel is no match for the masked magician. Find out how he walks through it with ease and how he makes an orchestra disappear. When magic's biggest secrets finally revealed returns.
The magician will now attempt a classic bit of close-up magic using a shot glass, a dime, and a small sheet of rubber. The dime is balanced on top of the rubber sheet, and the magician is stretching the ends of it over the shot glass. He points to the dime, which in masked magician terms means, watch this. A magical wave, and he begins to gently rub the dime with his finger until it's gone. But where? He lifts the piece of rubber, and there it is, in the bottom of the shot glass. A genuine dime that can magically pass through solid rubber. So how did the masked magician make the dime penetrate the rubber sheet? It looks impossible, but there's a secret. The piece of rubber is a special high-tension polymer, the kind used by dentists that's made to stretch a long way without breaking. It can be pulled so tightly around the dime that it becomes see-through and gives the illusion that the dime is resting on top of it. In fact, the dime is really on the opposite side. This side with the dime is the one that goes over the glass. When the magician stretches the sheet around the glass, the coin appears to be sitting on top of the rubber. Actually, it's merely stuck to the bottom side. He taps the coin with his finger, and you can see that the tapping releases it from the rubber sheet and sends it into the glass. A simple trick when you know the secret. We know that world-famous magicians have used their tricks to impress supermodels and beautiful Hollywood starlets the same way some guys use flashy cars to impress women who are out of their league. Tonight, the masked magician will use both. Here he shows off a late model Bentley. I say a Bentley because I'm not sure that it's really his. Then again, sexy models usually stop short of examining the registration. Aside from the price tag, there's nothing extraordinary about this car. Now for some girls, a parade of assistants. But the women he wants to impress tonight are WWE divas Eve and Maria. I can see why. The magician is going to attempt to turn these photos of the divas into the real thing. It's no secret that the real girls would be much more impressive than their pictures. So it's time for magic. As usual, there's a large sheet involved. The magician always seems to have an extra king-size sheet lying around just in case. He's prepared for anything. The assistants cover up the Bentley. The magician steps forward and tells us to keep an eye on the super luxury vehicle. The girls raise the sheet for a moment and now they're lowering it back over the car. Something's different. Let's get a better look. The Bentley has magically turned into a Lamborghini full of fun, complete with WWE divas Eve and Maria. Now that's what I call an impressive trick. Excellent work, masked man. Why can't they all be this spectacular? Holy moly. So, how does the magician take an ordinary $200,000 Bentley, a couple of sexy photos, put them together and magically transform them into a Lamborghini overflowing with WWE divas? The secret is simple and starts with the fact that this trick can only be performed for a television audience. When the illusion begins, the magician shows off the expensive Bentley for the camera. We see this side of the vehicle, but notice that the magician doesn't invite the camera to walk around with him. That's another secret. The key to the trick is that the Lamborghini is parked in place the whole time, with its gorgeous passengers already inside. Before the trick began, a stagehand backed the Bentley into place. Notice how much larger it is than the Lamborghini? The Lamborghini was chosen for its sex appeal, but also because it is much smaller than the Bentley and more easily concealed when the two are parked side by side. When the magician appears to be walking around the car, he casually indicates that there's nothing on the other side. But from this angle, we can see that he's merely waving his arms and acting like there's nothing more to see behind the car. With both cars in place, how did the magician make the Bentley disappear? The secret is hidden inside the Bentley. Sitting behind the wheel is a stagehand. Say hi, Mom. Meanwhile, the stunning wrestling stars Eve and Maria are waiting inside the Lamborghini. So the whole routine with their photo is nothing more than a flashy way to convince us that perhaps they'll be appearing inside the Bentley. On cue, the assistants cover the Bentley with a large sheet. At this moment, off-camera stagehands turn on a couple of powerful fans to fill the sheet with air. This is when the magician carefully stands to the left side of the frame, blocking our view of what's really happening. While he blocks the left edge of the sheet, the Bentley is simply driven away. As soon as it's gone, the camera and the magician move towards the car, which creates an optical illusion as the girls move the sheet further back to cover the Lamborghini. From this angle, you can see how far they have to walk. The stagehand turns off the fans and the girls lower the sheet down onto the Lamborghini. On his command, they remove the sheet and reveal the divas in their revealing outfits. The transformation is complete. I know I've been transformed into a diva fan, especially now that I know the secrets.
Next, a trick you can do at home. The magician shows you how to make a can float through the air. And watch as a string quartet makes beautiful music together, even after they disappear. Plus, find out how a superstar walks through a great wall of steel. When magic's biggest secrets finally revealed returns.
For this next trick, the magician will use this ordinary soda can. He holds the can gently between the fingertips of both hands. He blows on the can, and suddenly, it begins to rise. Must be highly carbonated soda. He snatches it before it goes too high. Wait, now it's trying to escape again. If he's not careful, it will fly away for good. Looks like he's got it under control. Who knew that soda could be lighter than air? How did the magician make the soda can float? This secret isn't too hard to put your finger on. From the back, you can see that the can is actually attached to his right thumb by a flesh-colored plastic shell that magicians call a thumb tip. When his thumb is inside this tip, it's virtually invisible. At the end of the thumb tip is a clear rubber suction cup. This cup sticks to the can, and the magician is ready to create the illusion that the can is floating. From this angle, we can see that all he's doing is lifting the can with his thumb. With his fingers outstretched, all the magician has to do is use a little bit of pantomime to make it look like the can is floating away from him. Who knew that the secret to floating soda was all in the thumb? The magician shows off his latest contraption, an elevated stage that is set for a musical and magical performance. He invites a string quartet to enter and take their positions on the stage. They climb the stairs and find their seats, just as the girls come in to help out with the trick. Black ties and a bow. How formal. I guess it comes free with the tuxedos. Hit it, boys! Now there's a level of sophistication we haven't seen before, and won't for long. A curtain is going up. And back down. Where did they go? We can still hear the music, but the quartet has vanished. The magician gestures for the curtain to go back up. And when it comes down, they're back. Still playing, and still classing up the joint. Ah, so soothing. The masked magician has pulled off another one. Okay, so what really happened when the magician allegedly made the orchestra disappear? They're in on the secret, so why shouldn't we let you in on it too? The quartet takes their seats and begins to play as the curtain rises. That's when the secret takes place. The orchestra platform is built on a rotating axle. Behind the stage is a gang of burly stagehands. As soon as the curtain is up, they use all their weight to push down on a steel rod that is welded to the back of the stage. This rotates the entire platform 1/4 turn. The members of the quartet are now resting on their backs. When the curtain lowers, you're looking at a duplicate set of chairs. Here's the move again from above. Watch your backs, fellas. The stairs and the black cloth on the front of the stage conceal the duplicate set of chairs beneath the platform. Here's the switch again from the front, without the drape hiding the magic. Those stagehands are really earning their paychecks tonight. When the curtain is raised a second time, the stagehands get another workout. The men push the musicians back in place just in time for the curtain to lower and reveal them. And that's the secret of how to make a quartet disappear.
Next, the magician exposes the highly guarded secret to walking through a world-famous Great Wall. Plus, a trick used by popular street magicians won't fool you anymore. Find out how it's done when magic's biggest secrets finally revealed returns.
Here's a trick that street magicians use to convince their audience they have freakish powers. A bent bottle cap and an empty bottle are all it takes. The magician taps the cap on the bottom of the bottle to prove it's solid. But watch. With the cap resting on his fingers, he continues to tap until it's inside the bottle. The metal cap has penetrated the glass without breaking it. Seems pretty freaky to me. Maybe he has magic powers after all. So, does the magician have special powers, or is this just another one of his tricks? I think you know the answer. The first secret is in the ring he is wearing. It's magnetic and powerful enough to attract the metal cap. The second secret is the bottle cap, or the fact that he has two bottle caps. When the illusion begins, one cap is inside the bottle, held in place by the magnetic ring. The outer cap is tossed up from his hand and caught by the ring, while the cap inside is released. It appears that it has passed through the glass, but we're really seeing the cap that was inside all along. He won't fool us again with this trick, because we know the secret. The magician will now attempt to make his body pass through a solid object. In this case, this giant wall made of two heavy-duty shipping containers. Sometimes magicians walk through brick walls, landmarks, or even the eighth great wonder of the world. But we're not in China. So in the warehouse, these 5,000-pound steel containers will be just as great. The goal will be to walk through the solid steel wall by magic. The magician climbs up onto a raised platform to get a better look at the containers. They're not made of mortar and stone like the wall in China, but steel is just as imposing. The magician sizes up his opponent and raps on the side to prove that this is a solid wall of steel. Getting through is going to pose quite a challenge. He climbs back down, allowing his assistants to lower some shades that are attached to the metal frame on the platform. These white curtains will protect the secret of his trick from prying eyes. But don't worry, he's bound to show you the secret sooner or later. The shade in the back has a hole that will allow a beam of light to shine onto the shade in front. Although the magician doesn't want you to see everything yet, he will allow the audience to see his shadow behind the shade. There is an identical setup on the opposite side of the containers. You'll see that in just a minute. It's been said that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of Sherlock Holmes, believed the great Houdini could dematerialize and pass through solid objects. Let's see if the magician can make believers out of us. Now that the assistants are done with their preparations, the magician prepares to take his place behind the shade. This is the last time we'll see him until he emerges on the other side, if he can. There we see a silhouette on the shade. He concentrates and then pushes his hand into the side of the solid steel containers. Now his other hand and his entire body. Is it possible that he's mastered Houdini's secret of dematerialization? It appears as though he's gone. But the doubters in our audience would probably like a little more proof. So, there you go. No shades, no magician. He's either vanished or traveling through the steel, particle by particle. The challenge now will be to reassemble on the other side. The camera is following his path through the stacked containers. Remember, the containers were examined and no trapdoors were found. On the other side, his assistants are placing a white fabric panel over a section of the metal. What's this? It appears as though the magician is poking his hands through the fabric, desperately trying to escape from the steel. Or is it Houdini, back from the grave? This is getting creepy. Better let him out of there. The panel is removed, but there's no sign of the magician. Even creepier. A shade is placed on the front of the platform, again to protect the secret of his rematerialization. Will he make it through the wall of steel? If he can't, somebody better have an industrial-sized can opener. Another sheet will complete the cube. As we can see, there are no shadows inside, no sign of the magician, yet. The assistants have finished their work and it's time for the magician to make his reappearance. Come on, masked man, Houdini did it, so can you. There he is. Slowly passing through the solid steel. I'm not sure about you, but I always knew he could do it. Then again, I've read the script. The shades are removed, and there's the magician, back from his trip through a great wall of steel.
What's the shocking secret behind walking through the Great Wall? If you were fooled by the trick, you won't believe your eyes when you find out how it's done. When magic's biggest secrets finally revealed returns.
We just saw the masked magician take on these giant shipping containers. He passed right through the solid steel container on one side, traveled through this great wall, and out the other side. But was his journey as dramatic as it looked? You know, there has to be an explanation. Here are the secrets. When the magician is showing us that the containers are real, he's not lying. They're genuine and solid steel. Therefore, he couldn't really pass through them as his shadow suggests. What you don't know is that a double is hidden beneath a trap door in the platform. As soon as the shade is in place, the double opens the trap and gets ready for his secret roll. We see the magician climb the stairs. The beam of light is focused to shine brightly on the shade, but allows a narrow place for the double to hide. When the magician steps into the fabric cube, he takes the double's place and the double steps forward. The switch is seamless, and the shadow appears to be the magician's. Meanwhile, he's busy slipping through another trapdoor and down into the stairs he used to climb up onto the platform. While we're looking at the shadow, we don't even notice his escape into the staircase. Once he's inside, he's ready to be wheeled to his final destination on the other side of the wall. Whenever magical assistants are wheeling stairs around, you can be sure someone's hiding inside. On the front of the shade, we see the shadow of the double appear to melt through the steel wall. From above, you can see the double's choreography as he mimes melting into the wall and then simply curls up into a ball where he won't be hit by the light. But from the front, it appears he's passing right through the steel. Next, he climbs back into his secret hiding place so that the cube is empty when the shades are removed. The audience believes the magician has melted into the steel wall, but his double is just hiding in the platform. Meanwhile, the staircase, with the magician hidden inside, has arrived on the other side of the wall. While he's making his way from the staircase into the platform, his assistants are distracting us with their own sleight of hand. Remember the cloth panel they held against the steel containers? When you look closely, you can see that only one of each assistant's arms is visible. That's because their other arms are hidden behind the panel, with their hands pushing on the fabric. The effect of the hands pushing on the fabric is so startling, the audience doesn't even stop to think it could be the assistant's hands and not the magician's. As soon as they get the signal that the magician is safely inside the platform, they remove the panel and attach the shades to the cube. When the shades are up, the magician climbs out of his hiding place and makes his way to a dark corner, carefully avoiding the beam of light. He holds up his arms and walks forward, creating the illusion that he is rematerializing, melting through this side of the steel containers. This is when some serious acting lessons would really pay off. Wall-to-wall magic. And now you know the secrets.
Next week, the masked magician returns to reveal more of magic's biggest secrets.